everybody. Welcome back to this week's episode of Reclaiming America. Uh, when we thought last week was a busy week, well, that was nothing compared to this week. It just gets better and better. However, I have to start the show out with an apology and a statement that I was wrong. I had said last week that I did not think President Biden would resign as quickly as he did. My partner over there, Dan the Magnificent, with the turban on, uh, had predicted that he would resign on Sunday. And sure enough, Sunday afternoon, he popped the statement that he was not going to run again. So I have to admit, I want you to hear this, Dan. I was wrong.
You know, I'm going to put like echo on that in editing, right? And repeat it over and over and over again.
Well, because you always highlight things that are very, very unusual.
It's funny though, Bill, because it was like the worst kept secret in DC. I started seeing things Wednesday and Thursday of the week before, as I talked about. And on X of all places, which is where he released this. Well, someone released the statement. And and we've been talking back and forth all week. You see things on X. Some of them they sound so outlandish, you kind of know they're not. Others, you're like, is there a grain of truth to this? And then others are like this, where they turn out to be 100% true. One reporter, Laura Loomer, I think her name is, had it almost to the minute when it was going to happen beforehand. Like she was saying, at 1:30 Eastern, they're going to announce he's out of the race. She wasn't saying it Sunday. She was saying it Friday or Thursday. So she's got somebody on the inside. Who it is, who knows? But yeah, it did not come as a shock. I do remember getting a text from someone around noon that day going, Sunday's passing fast. Nothing's happened. I'm paraphrasing. I don't know who that might have been, Bill. Do you recollect?
Neither do I. A lot of people out there that are actually just using other people's names and trying to get away with it. Yeah, don't know who that is.
And I
But
chuckled.
will tell you,
I was actually sitting on the beach when I saw that, and I started laughing. And my wife was like, "What are you laughing about?" Because I was laughing hard. I said, "Just wait." And sure enough,
okay, the other thing, just to be fair to our audience, to explain why I think it was not going to happen on Sunday, I truly believed he would not want to meet with Netanyahu as a lame duck. I would figure he was going to have Netanyahu come in, let him do his thing, leave by the end of the week, and then he would pop the statements while he's gone. Because he effectively met with him when he's got no power left. And he pretty much admitted that, and so did Netanyahu.
we should talk about that in a separate segment because I got a lot to say about that as well, especially with a certain member of Congress and a sign she held up. But it's
Yeah, I saw that sign.
yeah. Um,
Anyway, so we now have a lame duck president, and now the latest thing out there, and I have to say, though the rationale for doing it is good, their support information doesn't work. For example, Republicans are now standing there going, well, now if he's not good enough to run, he's not good enough to serve.
which I agree with.
Well, in his particular case, that's true. But historically, there have been other cases where presidents, for example, Lyndon Johnson, chose not to run for that term, and there's nothing wrong with him physically. He just realized for political and other reasons he should not run that in 68. But I agree that in his particular case, he's not physically well enough to do another 4 years. The real question now is the Republicans are saying, can he finish the 6 months?
Well, that's what I'm saying, right? Forget 4 years. How about 4 months, Bill? No way. Um, when you saw, I don't know if you watched his little, not State of the Union, but I'm going to call it a State of the Union the other night, where he didn't say a word about why he actually isn't running. If you really listen to him, it's well, for the good of the party and younger and blah blah. He just rambled and rambled. The
You forgot to save democracy.
the teleprompter defeated him yet again. I don't know how many times during that. I actually watched that whole thing afterward. I saw it the next morning and I watched the entire thing. And again, let me state up front, I actually feel sorry for this man because he does not know what he's doing. He does not know what he's saying. His brain is mush. It's not his fault. It's the people around him that are putting him in this position. But anyone, any reasonable person that sat and watched that, you can only come away with saying, We cannot have him as president now. He is not fit to run. Forget the election. He's not fit to run the country right now. And it begs the question, who the hell is running the country? Because it ain't him.
Well, you heard what happened shortly before he made the address and over the Arctic.
Yes, the we had to send jets against. Yes.
The Russian and
Yep.
Chinese jets,
Yep.
which were responded by American and Canadian jets.
Yeah.
Again, a test.
They're poking the bear. Unfortunately for them, we've got a thing called the F-22 Raptor that they can't touch, so they better be careful doing that. But who the hell sent those planes there? Our planes in response. It wasn't Biden, right?
No, it was NORAD. It's an automatic reaction.
But you sit there and yeah, again, they have told a lie for 5 years now, going back to 2019 when he first started running. This man has not been fit, starting as far back as then, to run the country. And I just sat there watching that resignation from the election, I'll call it that, and just shaking my head going, this man is so far gone. And my wife, who works in healthcare, specifically with dementia patients, said flat out, with no prompting for me, and she's as non-political as it is, that man needs to be in an assisted care facility because he is not capable of taking care of himself. Well, if someone like that, who's not political at all, not a political bone in her body, comes to that after watching just a few minutes of that conclusion, how is it his cabinet members aren't seeing the same thing? They are seeing it. We both know that. They're not going to do anything, though. But I think they're going to, by the way. We'll get to that in a second.
Well, there's another question I have questions about. I don't think they are on that either. I think we're going to take opposite sides on that too.
Oh, I'm telling you, I have put it out there, and I'll stand by it. He will not be president by the convention. So we got what, 19 plus 5 days, 24 days, right? It's the 19th that it starts, right?
I don't recall. I think it might be earlier than that.
It may. I could be wrong. I thought it was the 19th. I could be wrong, and I'll admit if I am. But Harris will be president by then. Mark my words. Either because again, rumors were flying, and I was texting you over the weekend and into the early week that there's severe questions whether Biden was alive at one point. I was thinking he was incapacitated. And I will tell you, Bill, and this is my personal observation, I'm not a doctor or anything, but again, going back to that speech he gave, I wonder if the man had a stroke. Because some of the I've known people who've had strokes, and some of the ways he was talking, I'm not saying a serious stroke, but a minor one, he kind of had those mannerisms.
Oh, by the way, you and your inevitable way to be right. It starts the 19th of August and runs to the 22nd.
Just call me.
Thought I'd give you
Just call me
another
Butter.
smart.
I'm on a roll, baby.
Yeah, here you go.
He will not be president by then, and God, I don't want the man to die. Please don't anyone think that I do, but that is a very strong likelihood. He is not well. I kind of jokingly said to a liberal friend of mine, "Are we still doing Orange Man is Bad?" By the way, because the amount of makeup they had on Biden to make him look human instead of a corpse
Made him into Orange Man.
He was Orange Man. My friend was not too happy, by the way, that I used that line. He was, for lack of a better term, looking like the Crypt Keeper from way back in our day. For those of you who are youngins, go check out Crypt Keeper. You'll see what I mean. And again, I don't fault Biden at all, to be honest with you. None. He does not know what he is doing, where he is, who he is at this point.
Yet, notice the family has disappeared.
Yeah, what happened to Jill, man? Something happened. I want to know what happened.
Jill, Hunter,
Hunter's
the brother.
Yeah. Well, the brother came out and said they're basically admitted there's health issues. I mean, I forget verbatim what his line was, but basically he said there were health issues. So the rumor that's out there is that when Biden was in Vegas a couple of weeks ago, he had a major health issue. And Las Vegas PD has confirmed multiple sources that they received a call to clear the roads so that they could take Biden to the hospital. And then suddenly they decided to throw him on Air Force One. and got him back to D.C. in an hour less flight time than normal. Somebody quoted it as saying the plane was flying so fast it was shaking. That doesn't happen just normally, right? They're not going to do something like that. Something happened. What it is, we don't know. Who knows if we'll ever know? But again, it goes back to more evidence. Biden is not running this country. Somebody is. Who it is?
Well, that's the given. He hasn't run this country the
Yeah.
entire time he's been president.
But the problem is now, Bill, they could hide behind things and smoke and mirrors and all that to hide what was on. The debate exposed it first of all. This latest thing has exposed it even more. And the Republicans finally are showing a set of balls and saying this man is not ready to run the country or able to run the country right now. And Democrats are starting to say it too. There's enough, things
Well,
out
interestingly
there.
enough, there were 4 to 6 Democrats that joined that resolution to tell him that he should not stay in office.
Well, again, Bill, it speaks to if Harris is the presumed nominee, and we'll talk about her. I don't want to in a few minutes, but if she's the presumptive nominee, which as we're recording, she hasn't been elected because they're not even waiting to the convention, by the way. So
But they can.
they have to do it now. So they're not even going to consider the delegates vote, right? They're doing
Well, they're
some sort of
calling the leadership, and the leadership is committing the delegates whether they ask them
whether
or
they
not.
want her. So they're deciding for them.
Right.
We'll get to that. Would it not be better to run her as the quote unquote incumbent as opposed to VP?
I don't know. But if you want to get into that now, the other side of my thought was she's starting to distance herself from everything Biden did.
Well, she could try.
Therefore, it would not behoove her to take over and run the show for 6 months because she then owns it.
She's going to own it anyway, Bill. Come on.
But she's going to try not to. Look, they already started with the fact that she's not the border czar.
Oh, God. Again, I should have queued up the video. So your favorite person, KGP, Karine Jean-Pierre, did you see that?
Oh.
Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Did you see the mashup somebody did?
Yeah, and I didn't see the matchup. No.
So they did what's called a mashup, right? So they took her making the statement, and then right after it put Biden sitting there stating she's now the border czar. And then a whole thing about czar. That's kind of an odd word, right? So it literally exposed that Pierre was flat out lying.
Well, they also had, all the stations have been running every one of the newscasts that have been using border czar since the day she was coronated.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden it's not true. It's a Republican term.
But again, the Democratic Party thinks the American public is stupid. They really do at this point. They can't even deny that. To be fair to them, about 30% of it is because they believe everything they're told. It is scary hearing some of the things that I'm hearing and seeing on Twitter and hearing from people I know how Harris is the greatest thing since sliced bread all of a sudden. 4 years ago, she couldn't even get 1% of the vote.
That's right. She was the first one out of the presidential campaign.
Because my girl
Because
Tulsi
couldn't-
destroyed her. But you sit there and you go, they're running around screaming that you got to vote Democrat to save democracy. Yet they're showing time and time again that they are anything but for democracy.
And you heard her take on Trump today about the debates?
I didn't hear anything today, so go ahead.
She's actually made statements to the effect that Trump is trying to change the debate date. And so she's wondering if it's because he's afraid of her.
Oh, so I've been hearing all over places everywhere on social media.
And the fact of the matter is he's asking for more than one debate. And she says, bring it on.
Sorry, I got a frog in my throat. They've been saying this for a week now, right? Since Biden announced how Trump will never debate her because she'll eat him alive and she's so much smarter than him and blah, blah, blah. They got every excuse in the book. And I'm just sitting there like, I will pay money to watch him just eviscerate
I would like
her.
to be front row center for that one.
He is going to eviscerate her. In fact, I think he needs to be careful because you know what they'll do the minute he just destroys her, and he will. He's it's just proof he's a racist and a sexist. That's
Oh yeah.
they're already
But the
making
fact
that
of the
argument.
matter is, Trump has asked that they move the debate from ABC to Fox, and that's what he's asked for. And but so I think the solution may be two debates because she's agreed in concept to more than one debate. So they might do one of each, hopefully. But it would be nice because I can't wait to see the cackling
Oh God,
hen get up
I was just
there
thinking the
and try
same
to
thing.
talk to him.
I um I think we should moderate it. We would be because I would be fair because I would ask questions and just sit back and watch because it's not about me or the person asking the questions. It should be about the answers. Half these moderators are in it to make themselves look good. We all know that, or push their
Well, if
agenda.
you notice the difference, if you were watching, again, a little bit off target, but it illustrates what we need to talk about. I was watching the Christopher Wray interview yesterday with
Oh
front of
yeah,
Congress,
yeah.
and what was interesting is the Republicans seem to have got the message. Ask your questions in 5 seconds and 10 seconds and get multiple questions in
Hmm.
and stop parading around and putting out a statement. And the Democrats were doing the same thing they always do, 45 seconds of a lead in to a question that nobody wants to hear anyway, but they got their time. Where the Republicans are starting quick questions like, what is this? What does this mean? And they were looking for a lot of answers. So that's a good sign.
Well, it's the Democrats are looking for that soundbite, right? And the Republicans were too, and they still are in some ways. But that again, to me, that was a debacle too. There was so much to say about it, but I want to stay on topic with what we're talking about. So let me ask you this, because I am on record. Do you think Biden gets till January 20th?
Barring a heart attack on his own, yes, he finishes his term.
And I say the exact opposite. Um, Taking into account he is old and
Barring,
he's
barring,
got obvious
I
medical
don't
issues.
wish it on him,
Oh no,
but
absolutely not.
but barring some physical action where he has either a stroke or something like that, and it makes him incapable, I think they're going to let him finish the term. And I think some of the rationale behind it is he needs to stay there to protect his son Hunter because he can still pardon. Uh,
Oh,
and
oh,
I'm
the,
sure he's looking for a sweet money deal before he goes home.
oh, you don't think they already got that? Come on.
He may not have enough.
So the rumor is that Pelosi is the one who orchestrated this. And Pelosi told Jill, again, rumor. Sadly, every rumor we've thrown out there has proven to be true. Rumor is that she said to Jill, in some manner of speaking, either you pull him out of the race or we're going to 25th him. So I'm sure they offered some sort of sweetheart deal. And I'm going to throw out to you what I think it is. If Harris wins, Jill Biden will get a cabinet position, Health and Human Services, quite possibly. Ooh, I
And
got him.
her degrees in education, it might
Doesn't
be better
could
off
be
in education.
could be education, right? I'm using Health and Human Services. Could be education. What do you think?
No, I think they're into more of a financial remuneration of some sort, or donation to a foundation, or where he'll get $50 million to a foundation that she is running. And if they run it like the Clintons did, they make a 99% profit. Well, i.e. Haiti.
Well, it could be
Uh,
both, to be honest with you. But
yeah, but I don't see, I really think some of the issues out there are really centering around the vice president. The word out there was that the reason Obama didn't come out till late yesterday to support her, is they were negotiating who the vice president was going to be, candidate. The word out there was they wanted a white male governor as their choice because that's
racist,
what they were looking for.
racist.
Uh, yeah, yeah. Uh, misogynist
They're
racist.
they're picking space solely on color and sex. How dare they? It should be an open field. There's plenty of people of color that are more than capable of being VP.
And what
What
was
is this?
interesting, the Obamas were supporting Kelly, Senator Kelly.
Kelly's the front runner. The last I heard.
No, that all flipped this morning.
Oh, see again, I'm out of tune. So what happened this morning?
The new front runner is the governor of North Carolina.
Oh, Roy's back in.
Oh, he's not only back in, he's actually campaigning for her.
Governor Milk. Oh, he's been campaigning for her all along. You can tell he's playing to try and become the VP. It is so freaking obvious. Governor Milquetoast, as I affectionately call him, or not so affectionately call him, I pray it's him because this whole show is going to become about him because I despise the man. Um, you know, would he be a good vice president? He'd be about the same as he was as governor. He'd be the Chester A. Arthur, who's probably the worst president we ever had, other than Carter and Biden, of vice presidents. He would be a nobody sitting in an office doing nothing. Oh, wait, he'd be Harris, just reincarnated.
But you got to remember, he's I would love to see him run because he's going to run on what he did for North Carolina,
Which is nothing.
and-
Which is
which
get,
is nothing.
which is get
And all
vetoed.
the Republicans have to do is bring up 65 overrides in 4 years.
He's going to run on what he did in North Carolina. Get vetoed. Go. Nice job there, Roy.
Get override 65 times. More, he has more than the entire governors prior to him, back to the very beginning, adding their vetoes together that he overrode.
I wonder if
So,
the Trump campaign would like the photos I have of him marching with Black Lives Matter, not wearing a mask while he closed my business because it was a danger to be open and even with masks.
well,
Trump campaign needs that photo and my accompanying article
and
I wrote with
the
it.
word
Feel
out
free.
there is also he has got a close relationship with Camilla. Now, the other one out there that they're talking about is the governor of Pennsylvania.
I've heard that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, and but the reason, and I hate to say it this way because it becomes prejudicial again, they're having enough trouble with Michigan and places like that, and the governor of Pennsylvania, is Jewish.
Well, Whitmer. By the way, Whitmer's on the table too because they want Michigan. Whitmer will deliver Michigan,
But
Pennsylvania
she
with
she doesn't make white male unless she
no,
identifies.
but well, you never know these days, right? But they're looking for someone. So you look at Arizona, North
He's a
Carolina,
senator, not a governor.
yeah, but you got North Carolina, Arizona, Michigan, Pennsylvania, four states
Swing states.
that they need. So it's gonna be one of those four. Which one do they think they need the most? That's up for debate. I would argue Pennsylvania. I do not think they're going to take North Carolina. Last polling I
And I
showed.
would say, and again, and I don't talk prejudice in this way of form, but the Democratic Party has got a major issue with the support of Israel and the uh, Jewish state.
Well,
Uh, and if you're going to bring on a vice president who happens to be Jewish, you're not going to help yourself with the very states you want to win.
and on that note, let's take a break and come back, and we'll talk about that as well as Netanyahu's a visit. Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Take us away, Bill.
All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes to take you down the road on reclaiming America. Hang in there. Welcome back to part two, Reclaiming America. We're having an interesting discussion of what's going on in the Biden campaign, the Democratic campaign. We haven't really touched much on the Republican side of the house yet, but we'll get there. But right now, there's just so much to cover with the Democratic side. I mean, we've talked about possible running mates for Mrs. Harris. We've talked about the fact that she will most likely, as we both agree, be the nominee. And I'm getting away with that, but I'm waiting for the snicker. But she will get the nomination, and the 19th she'll be crowned. And the only thing we're going to disagree on right now is I believe that barring no medical emergency, they're going to let Biden finish his term of office. My good partner over there believes he's on a banana peel in a graveyard, and he's going to take him out in a minute.
It's already, as far as I'm concerned, it's probably already been done in every way, shape, or form except officially, which speaks to what our next subject was going to be, which is Netanyahu's visit, right? So, and I put the caveat out there, as I always do when we talk about these issues. I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood. My two best friends, they're both sets of parents, are Holocaust survivors. I have a jaded view, all right? I freely admit my viewpoint is slanted. But what a disgrace of how Netanyahu was treated this week across the board, including by the walking corpse and his soon to be replacement. Okay? Um, he flew in, and neither one of them was available to meet with him. Um,
Correct.
how does that happen? No one.
She was off at a black sorority conference of some sort.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trying to be presidential and be a leader, and Biden has some sort of reason, COVID, they're claiming, so he couldn't go, okay, I'll give Joe a pass. I'll be a nice guy. Joe had COVID and was worried about spreading it. If you believe that one, by the way, I got several bridges I can sell you. Uh,
And good price, too, I bet.
yeah, but okay, don't you think you should send the vice president who's running to be president to go meet with the guy? Nope, she's got bigger priorities than that. What a absolute disgrace that was. A slap in the face, an absolute insult. And I think they realized it because now she's trying to make nice and meet with him. You know, um, too late, as far
Well,
as
she
I'm
met
concerned.
with him, but even worse, Netanyahu's even more upset about her comments afterwards.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because as far as he's concerned, she is harpooning any further peace deals and saving of the hostages by demanding that we immediately set fire, we stop this thing, get everybody freed up, and taking the fact again how all these innocent civilians are being hurt by the Israelis. It sounds like we're not playing the same game that we hear about all the time. We're 100% behind Israel. If they're 100% behind Israel, I am glad they're not 100% behind me at any time.
Again, they keep throwing out, well, Israel's doing this, Israel's doing that. You never hear what Hamas has done. Hello, how many months ago was it? 10? And they're still holding hostages? How about we release them? Would that be?
And how about
By the
they
way,
just found
American
two of
hostages, I might add, some of them.
yeah, I know, but they just found two of the Israeli hostages that were killed on the 7th. They just recovered their bodies.
Yeah.
They're finally getting them back to their people anyway.
I mean, enough already. I have zero support for Hamas. They need to be put in their place. I've said it before, and I'm not going to step away from that. Israel is doing what Israel needs to do to protect itself. If it is so bad, then Hamas should leave Palestine. Let the Palestinian people run it instead of Hamas. Release every hostage. I would bet if they went and released all their hostages, said, we're going to step away, we're going to let the Palestinian people re-elect whomever, which may or may not be a good thing, Israel stops, walks away. Never going to happen, by the way, right? Because it's too good politically for the Democrats to keep this hostility going, not to mention their pocketbooks.
Don't you want to bet? If I were Trump, I would be having my entire place debugged on an hourly basis before Netanyahu comes to visit today, because
Well, they're,
they're going to want everything that's been said there, and they're going to want to know what was
oh,
said.
of course. What's worse, though, is they're saying that he has no right to meet with them because he's not president. So he's violating, I forget the act. There's an act where a non-citizen, or excuse me, a non-government official can't meet with
I mean, the ones that Obama violated
yeah,
when he went
repeatedly.
across and did those things.
Bill,
Yes.
Bill, we can't talk about that. No, 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 no. That it only goes one way, Bill. Stop. Um, you know, if Trump, when Trump gets elected, I would bet that whole thing, along with Ukraine, will be over before he becomes sworn in, because he's not going to
He's
put.
already stated one of those things as a fact.
Yeah,
They will end the Ukraine thing before he gets
yeah,
sworn
he
in.
will.
And I'm sure that he's going to do something similar with Netanyahu.
He'll back channel messages to Iran, Hamas, Israel, Ukraine, Russia. Here's the way it's going to be. You can step away, and he'll have whatever it is he's going to use.
Yeah, I'm sure Iran's being told if this is still going on, the day I sworn in, here's the amount of stuff that's going to happen to your country, including blockades
Yep.
and anything else we can find. You're going to go back to starvation
Yep.
101.
Yep. And these will all disappear. And that's the reality the Democrats fear more than anything else, because they know he's capable of doing it and will get it done. And they're going to look like complete and utter idiots when he does. It's
Well, no, they will then get their friends in the media to say, well, Trump had the advantage of everything the Biden-Harris administration did to set it all up, and he gets credit for it. Now we both know that's bull.
I mean,
You know that's what they're going
I
to
couldn't even
say.
laugh with a straight. I mean, I would just lose my shit when I hear
It's
them
what
say.
they're going to say because they do it
They're
now.
already
You know,
saying it. Um, Again, the media. That's a whole other thing we should talk about is how the media has lapped up Harris all of a sudden. But it then you see where not Netanyahu's in front of Congress, and was it Talib, I believe it was, holding up a sign calling him a war criminal? Really?
yep.
Really? That we're going to go there?
And the scores of people who ignored it and didn't even show up to be the courtesy in your elected officials.
Every one of them should be voted out. They won't be, though, because the people of Minnesota keep putting these people back in, which basically says that that state is a bunch of anti Semites. Um, and what really scares me, though, Bill, is you see predominantly Jewish areas. New York City, Pennsylvania's got a large Jewish population you mentioned earlier, will still support the Democratic Party. How do you stand there? Again, I'm thinking back to my friends, you know, parents. They were, by the way, staunch Democrats. Staunch. Blue to the core. They must be rolling over in their graves right now, seeing that sign, seeing how Netanyahu was treated, seeing the words that are thrown at Israel for protecting themselves.
Except there's a number of the Jewish people out there that are separating the faith from Zionism as two separate things. Good, bad, or indifferent is true.
So they're supporting the destruction of Israel.
Well, what they're saying, it's not a religious issue, it's a governmental issue.
Okay. So so they're again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. They are supporting the destruction of Israel then because that's Hamas's stated goal. It's on their website. They cleaned it up a little, but it's still there. The destruction of Israel. Now, by destruction, they mean eradication of every Jewish person living there,
River to the sea.
river to the sea. So when those people say that, I want to get in their face and say, that's what you're supporting. And they'll try and claim it's not and bull. Bull.
Well,
Hamas's
I would
stated goal is the erasure of Israel from the face of the earth and
Well, I
everyone
would
in it.
also take that in one other step. If you notice, the demonstrations were prior to Netanyahu speaking
Oh, God, yeah.
out there, where they took down an American flag, they put it on the ground, they burn it, and then they run up Palestinian flags all over the place, and they stayed up there for hours till we got around to replacing them. My question is, aside from the fact they've only arrested 10 people and charged them for all that, my question is, how come when you burn an American flag, it's considered free speech, but you burn a BLM flag, a Hamas flag, or a Palestinian flag, it's now hate speech?
Or a rainbow flag.
Or rainbow flag. Yes, I forgot that.
A
And
guy,
it becomes free
a
speech.
kid, by the
Good
way,
speech.
a kid just a couple weeks ago got sentenced to 10 years in jail for doing burnouts on a pride flag painted on a street. 10 years in prison for that. But yet, it's okay to burn the American flag because that's free speech.
But beyond that, it was a U.S. government flag they took down, so it was public property.
Yeah.
They should at least be for destruction and or stealing, whatever you want to put there. They should be charged with something.
But it's the Republicans who are trying to do away with free
Free
speech
speech,
and the whole
and the
Constitution.
democracy.
I mean, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. Do they really think that we're all that stupid? Yeah, I get there's a good portion of the population that is, but come on already. And I think it's going to blow back on them this election. It's there are a lot of Jewish people out there that are getting pretty pissed about what's going on. There's also the segment, as you said, that are like trying to separate it. I don't know what cloud they're living on, but come on.
You know
Um,
what? I think with you may see the separation in this country where you may motivate the Jewish people in the country is what's going on in the universities.
well, I mean, Jewish students get attacked routinely now on
Sure. And
universities.
they're told they
Routinely.
can't do certain things, they can't use certain
Yep.
walkways, they get banned. That's probably going to be much more of a dividing factor for the Jewish people in our country than Israel. I hate to say that.
Well, I'm waiting for the Palestinian crowd to say that the Jewish students need to have gold stars put on their chest and tattoos put on their arms because they're not that far from it at this point.
Well, didn't one group, wasn't it in New York City, they wanted them to wear hats?
I didn't see that.
There was
I didn't
one
see
group
that.
in one of the places, they wanted them to wear some sort of a distinguishing hat when they walked on the campuses.
And so, what a reasonable press would do is take that soundbite or clip or article or whatever it was, put it in front of Harris and say, "Do you agree with this or not? Yes or no?" They'll never do it. You and I both know that. But again, there's a commercial Republican Party. Put her on the spot. This is what she supports. Make her come out, Harris, I mean, come out and dismiss it. Say, I have nothing to do with it. Put her on the spot. Because if she does, you see what's happening, by the way, with Black Lives Matter in Harris already. They've turned on her. Big
Yeah, I
time.
saw that.
Oh, big time. I actually watched one of the leaders of BLM, the one who's got like 5 mansions now, just, if again, my favorite word, eviscerate Harris and just lambaste the whole party, right? It would be the same scenario from the Jewish side. Why the Republicans don't play dirty, and it would be playing dirty. When
I'm going
they,
to ask you an interesting question
yeah,
about that thing, though.
yeah.
How much of the BLM evisceration that we talk about is real, and how much of it is to give her some deniability about being part of them when she's running?
That's a good point, Bill. We don't know, right? You got to remember her track record in California, especially for black males that were in prison, is horrific, right? It's how Tulsi destroyed her. When you have a black male sitting on death row that she knows is innocent beyond any doubt, and she won't let him out. When you have multiple black men who've served out their sentence but can't get released because she needs them to go fight fires. I could see where BLM, that would be their position. I can also see your point, you know.
They're very clever with what they do. And if she needs to distance herself from certain groups, what better way to get it done than, instead of her having to deny it, have the groups attack her?
And you know what? They're brilliant enough to do something like that. Let's be honest.
Yeah, so it's quite possible that this whole thing is a setup.
Well, the whole thing, including making her the candidate, has been a setup for months now, as far as I'm concerned. It's you got me thinking that's a very viable point. I'm inclined to lean against it. I really think that there's a lot of animosity towards her from blacks, because I've heard many blacks talk about what she did in California.
Yeah, but we're talking about the leadership now of the
I
group.
understand. I understand that, but the group's going to go where the leadership goes.
Yeah,
Period.
but at the same token, if there might be a deal out there, get me elected, and say what you need to say to prove that we don't work together, and we'll talk.
The problem they would have with that is the sound bites that are out there don't look good, right? Because people can chop that up and say BLM is adamantly, and that's what they are saying, adamantly opposed to Harris. They may be trying to play a game, but if they are, the game's not going to work in their favor because those sound bites are there. And they love to clip.
Yeah, but think of it this way. They may not be aiming those sound bites for the black community. It may be to the white liberal women
Who they've already got, by the way.
who they want to make sure they want to add back in and add to. And it may be that particular group that they're aiming at.
Which, you know what? It's time for a break. And this is a good point to stop and pick back up on, because I want to talk about how women are viewing Harris, especially white liberal women. Take us to break, Bill.
All right, everybody, you heard the man. We're going to come back with a feisty conversation about white liberal women. Stay tuned. It's time for the final segment of Reclaiming America, where Dan is going to explain the issues with white liberal women.
Oh, wow. Nice way to send it to me. Boy, you made me sound like a sexist and a racist at once. And I guess I'm going to be labeled as one from what I'm about
You
to
left
say.
out the word pig.
Yeah, well, it was interesting to see how people are responding to the coronation of Ms. Harris. and how she's basically been handed the job with absolutely not. How many votes did she get, by the way, Bill, in the primary?
Total zero.
In this primary, and how about the prior one?
She had 1% in 2020.
So 1% of nothing is still nothing. So literally, she's been made the candidate with not a single person voting for her, including, by the way, the delegates who were released. And done so, by the way, with the lowest rating ever for a vice president. So low that you'd have to go up 10 points to beat the next one.
You actually have to go up 10 points to catch up with Biden.
My God. But yet now she's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And what's amazing to me, Bill, is when you're reading the room, because I'm out on social media all the time, as you know, it is not the black women. It is not any person of color. It is white, liberal women who are screaming from the high heavens, we need to vote this woman in for one reason and one reason only.
She's a woman.
She's a woman. So they don't care about her record. They don't even care about her skin color, which I guess is
And
a
they
good
don't care
thing.
about what she's going to do either.
Nope. It's purely because she's a woman. And I am, there are many people out there who I think are nuts that say that we should take the right to vote away from women. Please no. But when they say things like that, Bill, it's kind of hard to counter that argument because the argument they make is women are too emotional and vote strictly on those emotions, not on facts, not on reason, not on logic. Therefore, they shouldn't be able to vote. And you see, literally by the hundreds, if not thousands, of posts a day from these white liberal women saying the only reason they're going to vote for her is she's a woman. Kind of makes it tough to argue against repealing that amendment.
Well, either that or we could, I hate to use the term, but maybe we need to go back for a comprehensive understanding test before you can have the right to vote, which would cover a number of men who don't really know what they're doing either.
Well, yeah, there's been a fair share of those too, but it is by and large that one segment, which, by the way, already votes Democrat anyway. So, I love how all of the. This is the other side I want to talk about. The media has now anointed Ms. Harris as again the greatest thing. Well, since the coming of Jesus Christ, I'll even take it a next level up. And her record is spotless. She's been an amazing vice president, and what terrific stuff she's done. Of course, they never say a damn thing she's done, just that she's done stuff. How did we get to this point, Bill? How?
When people vote on feelings rather than on facts and figures, I hate to put it that way. You know, I feel it's time for a woman. So therefore, whoever they run is going to win. I mean, we know, if Minnie Mouse ran, she'd be elected because she's a woman.
Yet they hated Nikki Haley.
Not till she got the nomination.
They hate Tulsi Gabbard. They hate. I can name woman after woman in the Republican Party or the
Yeah, but,
Independent
but
Party.
that's because they wear the term Republican. There's not a Republican that a
Tulsi
liberal
doesn't.
Democrat likes.
Tulsi doesn't. They
There's
despise
not
her.
there's not a Republican, male or female, that a liberal likes. Therefore, just because you happen to be picking Nikki Haley or you pick Donald Trump or you pick
Whomever, right? You or me.
it-
Although I'm not a
they're
Republican.
going to be hated by virtue of the fact of who they are. My favorite example, I don't know if I've talked about this at all, but just a couple of weeks ago, Mark Robinson, who's running for governor of North Carolina, was doing a fundraiser in our area. And I was asked to bring some people over to counter a demonstration of about 100, mostly women and some guys, who were anti-Robinson, and they wanted some pro-Robinson people there. So I got about 10 people who went over there. What I found somewhat ironic, uh, the first thing you see from these people is about half of them were carrying signs that said, "Stop the hate." Then they went in our faces and they called us every name you could think of. They threatened us with various things, and yet stop the hate. I had one woman when I was walking in to go to the bathroom. She stopped me and looked at my shirt and saw it said Republican, and she said, "Shame, shame, shame on you." So I walked by her and I said, ma'am, I haven't said two words to you. Why are you jumping all over me? Kept going.
Yeah, I love how they like to claim the Republicans are the party of hate, and they are the party of unification. You heard it in Biden's State of the
And they're the
Union
party of
speech.
tolerance. Don't forget
Oh,
tolerance.
yeah, Biden said it in the State of the Union. He said it again the other night. He said it for all 4 years of his presidency. I've heard Harris say it. Schumer said it. All of them. And then you have this, Bill, from Hakeem Jeffries, who is, tell the people,
He is the minority leader in the House of Representatives of the Democratic Party.
2 days after the attempted assassination on Trump. 2 days later, said J.D. Vance will not unify us. He's an election denying MAGA extremist. Another missed opportunity to bring America together. I don't know what
Well,
else. I mean, come on.
look at look at Christopher Wray the other day where he actually comes on and says now he doesn't know for sure that Trump was hit with a bullet.
Yeah,
I mean,
the whole machine behind this is to say one thing and do another. And they are magnificent at painting the Republicans into a corner as the ones spreading hate and intolerance. But yet, when you actually look at what they say
and do.
and do, it is proof positive. It's the Democrats. Name one thing the Democratic Party has done to reach out to white male Americans. One. Give me one, Bill. I know
There is none.
there is none.
That's easy. There is
And
as easy as none.
any liberal Democrat out there, I want you to put in the comments on this show. Give me one thing the Democratic Party has done for white American cis males.
I mean, aside from label us as the troublemakers, the people that have caused racism and have caused everything else,
Extremists,
and misogynists.
racists, misogynists, the same things they've labeled Trump as, which led to some crazy trying to kill him. 2 days later, you've got effectively one of the heads of the Democratic Party using hate speech and rhetoric. And they,
And by the way, number three in line to be president of the United States, assuming if he ever gets the job as head speaker.
I mean, it is mind boggling to me how stupid people are that they can't see that. And even when you point it out to them, as I just did, because he took that tweet down, by the way, because he obviously looked ridiculous. But see, the problem with these guys is the internet's forever. Just like they said that Harris was never the border czar. Internet's forever, people. That will never go away. But yet, here's where I want to kind of put you on the spot a little bit. Why isn't the Republican Party using that? Why are they not willing to play dirty like the Democrats are? Because I'm going to tell you right now, if they don't start pushing back, I hate to say this, Harris has got a shot.
I think one of the problems you see with the party, well, first of all, unlike the Democratic Party, the campaigns are in charge of their own operations. So it's each individual campaign that's out there doing what they need to do. The other problem that I constantly talk about with people is the Republican Party still has this age-old operation that the election starts after Labor Day. So they're not spending, the bulk of their money is going to kick in after Labor Day. And you're going to see flow after flow after flow. And I'm not, I would also tell you in real terms, the party does not have anywhere near the money that the Democrats have. To start paying, they're going to be lucky to do 2 to 3 months of ads. You start talking 4 or 5 or 6 months, the money isn't there. The candidates don't have that kind of money. They have to play with whatever dollars they have. Maybe it'll be different now that you got people, like the leader of X, who's got a group of people that are going to throw $48 million a year, but that's at the national party.
He's now talking about not doing that, by the way.
Oh, well, okay. Change 372.
I wonder what they threatened him with. You know that, but the other side of it is Zuckerberg. I watched an interview with him the other day. He's not backing either side this time, publicly. Doesn't mean he's not going to play games with Facebook because I'll believe that he won't when I see it.
Well, Zucker is still out there putting money into
He
to try to affect boards of
he's
elections.
saying he's not going to be doing that anymore.
Well, for people like North Carolina, they passed a law forbidding it.
Yeah,
So I'm sure we're not the only state that's done that.
he is saying that since the assassination attempt, he is not going to support anything. Again, saying and doing are two different things, right?
Yeah, and 2 months from now, we'll see where he
Exactly.
stands.
But it's just, I mean, in an ideal world, I would like to see all this hate rhetoric that's being thrown around done away with. But I also believe until you start doing an eye for an eye, it's not going to stop. And the perfect example of it is doxing and cancellation, right? So after the assassination attempt, people like Libs of TikTok and various other ones went and found teachers and elected officials and all of them who were saying it's too bad they missed and got them to lose their jobs. The left is now in pure panic about that because they've said a lot of things and now their tactics are getting used against them. Will it have a long-term effect? I actually do think it will.
Have you seen? Are you talking about the guy on Newsmax?
There's that lost their job.
No, no.
Oh,
There's a guy on Newsmax at the 5 o'clock hour that comes on.
oh, is he
Uh,
outing him too? I haven't seen him.
he does nothing. He's a social media guy, and he does nothing but find people who make comments like he should. Sorry, he missed. And if they're in positions of working for government and anything, he keeps revealing it and asking
Good,
people to deal with it.
good,
And he does it, and he will not let it go away till something happens. Every time he's on, he's bringing these same people up over and over
good.
and telling us, the couple of times they've had people actually lose their jobs.
Well, like everybody was upset on the left that they went after a woman who was a cashier at Home Depot. How dare you? Yet they have done that for a better part of a decade now, going after people. Now all of a sudden, right? It's not fair, and that again. It's waking them up to go, shit. We've been doing this stuff for years. Now it's coming against us. Maybe we ought to slow down a little bit. It'll never stop it, but
But that's something we've been talking about. The only way to get things to change, to make them stop, is to do it to them.
hit them right between the freaking eyes with
Yeah,
it. No
you
violence,
do,
by the way. No
sorry?
violence. No violence. Right? Never, because they burn cities down. We don't want to get to that point. But costing, a politician their job, an
Or
elect,
someone who works for government
or a
in any
teacher,
form, or a teacher.
absolutely fair game as far as I'm concerned. Any board of education that allows a teacher to continue after making a statement along those lines, they should all be called out. Because if they're saying it publicly, I imagine what they're saying in the classroom. And,
Yeah, I'm afraid to find out what they're saying in the
well, we
classroom.
started finding out during COVID. My friend, we only got about a minute left, so wrap things up.
Well, we've had a very, very quick hour, my friend,
It flew
and we
by.
didn't cover everything we could have covered either. We still got hung up on too much intel. I just wanted to go back and visit the Trump assassination or attempt, fortunately, and cover some of the latest information there, but we didn't get to
No,
it.
we didn't get to
But
it.
there's next week, and I'm sure between now and next week, there'll be 6 or 7 other things we can add to the conversation from that operation. But anyway, if you like what you're hearing, you need to subscribe to us. You need to give us a like. You need to find us on Facebook, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Apple. Getting better. I see your
They're
smile
all on
there.
the screen above us, so they can all just look up, people. See, right there. Hold on, let me get my hands right. Right there. They're all right there. Go follow them.
Okay. And we will see you next week
All right.
on Reclaiming America.
Have a good one, everybody.